Hello, we are the Association for Child and Adolescent Mental Health, or ACAMH for short.
So we wrote this book, and basically the intention was to say this is what dyslexia is, this is how we define it, this is how we should use the term. But by the time I'd done all this, I came to the conclusion that actually no, the term dyslexia itself is just beyond redemption. It's just been used, abused, misused so many ways, and there's so many youngsters who will lose out as a result of that. People who don't get this label, who suffer, resources are drawn away from them. And so the final conclusion was to drop the label dyslexia and instead focus upon the actual behaviours that we're interested in: decoding, comprehension, reading, the reading comprehension, spelling, writing, language, looking at intellectual functioning and so on. Looking at all those as discrete elements and then trying to understand the strengths and weaknesses of children so that can inform you on what you should do about it. Within the practitioner, sort of policymaker world, you can pretty much bifurcate, like a bit almost a Marmite figure. What I would say is that if you talk to educational psychologists and local authorities, the great majority are very, very positive and very supportive and are very responsive to what I say. Those people who have some kind of professional vested interest in maintaining maintaining the label because of whatever it does for them, and there are a number of things it does do for people, those people don't like what I'm saying. In other words, that's to do with vested interests rather than scientific argument. What we've got is now is a small proportion of people who struggle with reading getting help. And people have lobbied for those individuals very strongly. So if we'd never had dyslexia, maybe those people wouldn't get help, and maybe they wouldn't be doing for the other people either. Maybe we can piggyback on the dyslexia construct. Maybe we can piggyback on that to actually persuade policymakers to provide adequate intervention, resourcing and so on for all youngsters who struggle with their reading. But it's difficult, in a sense. Who knows what would have happened if...
It's a bit speculative.
Hard question.
Yeah.
Hard question. Let's talk about what the advantages are for those who get the diagnosis. What they get is they feel better about themselves often. They feel they're not so... they use this term to be able to stop people saying that they're stupid. It's a very hard thing if you have a reading problem. A lot of people sort of can be quite mean to those sorts of kids, call them stupid, and it's totally wrong that they should do that. So you can understand why this label is powerful for them. I don't blame them for that. And they can often get extra help of one kind or another. They might get more sympathy or more support from teachers who kind of say, oh, this person's got this problem, we need to do more about them. So they get a lot from it. But the trouble with that is if you do that for them, the people who are poor readers who don't have that label, they become the other. They're the ones who are the stupid ones, or the ones who are feckless, or whose fault it is because they live in the wrong place and they've got parents who don't care or whatever. And so by beefing up one kind of one group, you actually diminish the other group. It's like a zero-sum game. It's not a kind of, as the tide rises, all the boats rise with it. Here, it's a question of, as this lot go up, this lot go down. The other issue is that the best way I can think of it to intervene with reading disability is to provide a system-wide intervention program, assessment intervention, which operates across a range of schools of expertise, what's called response to intervention. That costs a lot of money, and that kind of money is not going to be forthcoming if local authorities are being forced to pay large sums of money for children with these labels to be sent to independent schools or whatever for extra help, or given extra time, or extra time in terms of TA assistance, teaching assistants. Firstly, everyone wants a label. No one wants to go to the doctor and be told they've got a virus. They want to know what the virus is. People like a label. People want some kind of diagnosis. Secondly, it helps people who are criticised and false attributions of stupidity. I mean, there's no relationship between reading, decoding, and intelligence. So you could be very smart, or you might not be very bright, or you might be average. You just can't tell on the basis of a reading. But people often feel that the dyslexia label will mean that no one can call. People are less likely to call them lazy, stupid, or all those other sorts of terms. So it's quite a good protection for the people who have the label. The price is that other people who don't have the label lose out. And the third reason is it's quite a good way of getting resources. Teachers and sort of often said, you know, if you've got loads of kids with a dyslexia diagnosis, you can get more resource out of the head teacher and senior management for the special needs department. And finally, it's very good in terms of if you're trying to fundraise. So you're more likely if you had some kind of national campaign, give for dyslexic kids. It's got a better ring than give to kids who struggle to learn to read. So those are the reasons. I call it a meme, really. It's a cultural meme. The thing about memes is they don't actually have to be true, but they do have to serve an important function. And if they serve an important function, they survive. They keep going, despite attempts to bang them on the head with a mallet. They keep popping up again because actually they meet a whole bunch of needs.
To be part of the advancement of child and adolescent mental health, visit www.acamh.org.